Hi listeners, this is Sanchita here. I am back with another of the ghost stories. Ghosts don't exist. During my months of travel in and around Shimla, I encountered various people. Once I even met a girl who was visiting Shimla for a similar reason to mine. She too was interested in the supernatural, specifically ghosts that wander around cemeteries. This is her story. Excuse me, can you tell me where the cemetery is? I asked a woman at the local bus stop near St. Mary's College. Cemetery? I'm not sure. I think it is in that direction, she said, pointing towards a narrow road. There are some houses ahead on that road. Maybe you should ask someone there. The last part of her reply was drowned out by the approach of a bus. The woman disappeared inside it after I had thanked her. The promised houses were nowhere in sight even after a walk of about 10 minutes on the narrow, meandering road. Finally, after another 10 minutes, I turned a blind curve and saw to my relief a couple of houses. I rang the bell at the door of the first building. A visibly irritated middle-aged woman opened the door and barked, "Yes." "I'm sorry to have disturbed you. I just wanted to ask the directions to the cemetery." "There are no cemeteries here," she said and shut the door with a bang. How rude, I thought, wondering about all the stories I had heard about people in the town being very friendly. I went on ahead and 5 minutes later found myself in an open square with half a dozen shops and a few houses. Some people were lounging around, making the most of the sun. I went up to an old man and, now a little unsure about how I would be received, asked hesitantly, "Excuse me, if you don't mind, I'm trying to locate a cemetery. I've been told it is somewhere near here." It's a very old cemetery. You want to go there?" "Yes. How far is it from here?" "Not very far. Go straight down this road. You will see it after about 15 minutes on your left. It's a small cemetery, very old, no more in use." "Thank you," I beamed. "But what are you going to do there? The chowkidar is not there." "Are you alone? Don't you have someone with you?" he asked, looking a little concerned. "No, it's just me. Is it unsafe?" "Have you heard any stories about the place? I mean ghostly ones?" I asked with interest. The old man laughed, a dry, cackling laugh. "Ghosts? No one sees them now. Their days are over. It was in the past that people used to meet them, but not anymore," he said, and then added, "I have not heard any story, but I was just thinking that you are a young girl and there is very little traffic on this road." "Where does the road lead to?" "It goes on to meet the Sanjauli-Chota Shimla Road, the national highway. But it takes more than half an hour to reach the highway, and generally the local buses do not stop there." I nodded my head. "I'll just have a look around and then return by this route and catch the bus from Navbahar Chowk," I said. The old man shook his head and murmured, "The things that young people do, we cannot understand them." He then turned back to do what he had been doing before I had gone up to him, gazing at his feet clad in woolen socks. "And I cannot understand the older generation," I chuckled to myself. It was nearly noon by this time. I checked my watch and thought I could be back in an hour to have my packed lunch of butter and cheese sandwiches. The slight breeze blowing lifted my mood. I started humming a Hindi film song, softly in the beginning and then loudly as I walked down the road. I could afford to do so as there was no one around. After several blind curves, I saw the cemetery. It was on a small hillock. The main cemetery was an enclosed area, its boundary wall made up of stones. There were about 60 graves, well structured with a cemented path in between. Several names and dates were faintly visible from where I stood outside the boundary wall. The whole area was surrounded by a thick forest of deodar, kyle and oak trees. I spent about half an hour strolling around the peaceful place, recollecting the words of the old man who had given me the directions to the cemetery. There are no ghosts now. Ghosts existed long back. Without any real reason, I laughed loudly. Having had a proper look around the place, I decided to return. As I walked down the road, I saw someone ahead of me walking in the same direction. Good. At least I would have company, I told myself as I hurried to catch up with him. Excuse me, I'm also going this way. Do you mind if I join you? I said as I walked alongside him. Not at all. What are you doing here? He asked in a soft and musical voice. Oh, nothing. I was just strolling around the cemetery. Isn't it strange? I said and then stopped. He silently walked on ahead. I started off again to make myself clear. I mean, so many people have lived before us and now they are all gone, dead, their bodies buried in the earth. Life is so strange, isn't it? Yes, it is strange, he said softly, almost as if he were talking to himself. You live nearby? Yes, quite nearby. So you are coming from that bifurcation where the road meets the Sanjauli Chota Shimla one. How far is that road from here? Not far. It will suit you. Oh, I am not interested in going from there. For one thing, I don't know the way back from there. Secondly, I have heard the local buses do not stop there. Thirdly, I have decided to have my lunch at one of the shops ahead. You seem to be quite well planned. Hardly planned. In fact, I'm the worst of planners. You know, I have been planning to write a book on strange tales since long, but I have made start today only. God only knows how much time it's going to take. On and on I blabbered without even bothering to look at my companion. Soon I saw the shops. Good, we have reached so soon. It was so nice talking to you. Time flew so fast. By the way, I turned towards him. I stopped dead. There was no one around me. For a moment, I was confused. I looked around, but it was clear that the man had vanished. Shocked and trembling with fear, I ran towards the bright sunlight and the shops. I stopped at the first shop I came across and, mustering all my strength, looked back at the road from where I had come. It was still empty. Beta, when you went away, I remembered a rumor that circulates here. A man with a soft and musical voice roams on the patch between here and the cemetery. Many people have come across him. They say he gives you company if you are alone. Interestingly, no one remembers his personality or his face. But it's all foolish talk. There are no ghosts here. Did you find the cemetery? How was your experience? The old man asked as I sat on a stool to steady my trembling legs. This is a story by Meenakshi Chaudhary. And thank you once again.